How we doing, everybody? Tim from Ski-Rex Media once again, as you can see in the bottom left hand of your screen. Yes, Tim from Ski-Rex Media welcoming you to another episode of the Ski-Rex Media podcast. I thank you for joining me and really do appreciate it, whether you're watching me on video or if you're not watching me on video and using one of the many audio-only platforms to listen to the Ski-Rex Media podcast. I appreciate that as well. Thank you for joining me. Today we have someone who's been around the industry, a journalist, a professional journalist, a fairly well-known professional journalist. Today on the program we have Mike Rogge, and we talk about Mountain Gazette, which you can see over here. I have Mountain Gazette 41 on my wall. Thank you to Tech Rob for sending that piece of wall art to me. It would have been up for the prior episodes, but I was waiting on a frame to come in the mail because I can't seem to get mail very quickly and easily here. The business address works great. The home address does not. And Ski-Rex Media HQ is in my home. So a little fourth wall breaking behind the scenes info for you there. In any case, got it up just in time to talk to Mike about Mountain Gazette, Verb Cabin, some of the films he's worked on, the season. We even talk indoor skiing in this one. So it's a really cool, a really cool interview. I really enjoyed it. Mike seemed to really enjoy it too. I think you're going to like this one. Before I start that part of the episode, though, please do not forget to subscribe and follow the Ski-Rex Media podcast. If you are watching the YouTube version, hit the subscribe button. It's right below here. You know how it works. Hit that so I know you're watching, and you can always see when these episodes come out. If you are on the audio-only versions, please follow or subscribe. You know, each one uses a little bit different terminology, so figure out which one is for you and then subscribe so you always know. I really would appreciate it. I thank you. It's a big help. Also, skirexmedia.com, skirexmediamerchshop.com, Ski-Rex Media on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Ski-Rex Media on all of them. If you wouldn't mind following me there. Two, you can also see there when the podcast comes out, I make sure it's posted, and other things too. We're going to get back into writing a little bit. Talking to someone who writes, Mike Rogge, journalist. I kind of want to get back into it as well. So I'm going to start writing, maybe not the news stories, but blog pieces and things of the like. Maybe even submit one of my own to Mountain Gazette. How would that be? Maybe we can get published there too. Who knows? But anyway, follow Ski-Rex Media. I do appreciate it. Check everything out. And on skirexmedia.com is links to everything, the social media, the merch shop, Patreon, everything. Right? Right. Thank you for that. And thank you for listening to my shameless plug here. And now, without further ado, let's get Mike Rogge, the Mike Rogge segment started. I hope you enjoy the episode, the whole interview. I dug it. I thought it was great. Enjoy, and I'll see you at the end of it. Enjoy. Okay. Joining us today on the Ski-Rex Media podcast, the names just keep getting bigger and bigger. Every week, I seem to get someone who's a little bit more famous, and I'm trying to push the envelope, believe me. Today, we have Mike Rogge, who you may or may not know does all kinds of things and has been doing all kinds of things. Sir, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you for doing this, man. Like I said, you're the upper echelon of faces. But in case I'm wrong, which does happen from time to time, who are you and what do you do? Like, I know, but some people might not know. So go ahead and throw down your resume if you want.
Sure. My name is Mike Rogge. I'm the editor and owner of Mountain Gazette, which is a twice per year, high quality coffee table print magazine focusing on outdoor culture. I've run an outdoor media company called Verb Cabin for almost 10 years. We produce short documentary films, some branded content, all based in truth and storytelling and journalism. We don't really do any flashy marketing style stuff. We just kind of show people what the world really looks like. And then before that, I worked at a couple ski magazines. I was at the Ski Journal for a bit. I was at the Powder Magazine for a bit. Rest in peace, Powder Magazine. I guess it's not totally dead yet. It's on life support, which is cool.
Yes.
There's still hope. But yeah, and I'm from upstate New York, born and raised in the Adirondacks. Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. So
love the Adirondacks.
East Coast is my blood, and currently I'm in Palm Springs, California, which is a pretty unlikely place to find a ski guy like me. because we are voluntarily evacuated. We have a thing out west called the Air Quality Index. I mean, it's everywhere, but we pay a lot of attention to it, like a forecast. And our AQI, anything under 100 is relatively healthy, and our AQI has been in the 400, 500, 600 in North Lake Tahoe because of the Caldor fire.
Yeah.
So we have 4 or 5 seasons, I guess, in Tahoe now. Fire season kind of taking over summer. So
damn. Yeah, it seems to be getting more and more brutal every year. So it's good that you're out of the area. You know, I don't know. That's one of those natural disasters I've never dealt with. You know, blizzards, earthquakes, hurricanes, whatever. I've done that. Wildfires, I don't know anything about.
Yeah, Tim, you know, it's funny. My wife's from New York as well. We've just been talking a lot about how wind, you know, waves, ice, snow, sleet, you name it, snow, like we can handle that. You can live amongst those things like pretty well. You can like prepare yourself, you can prepare your home for that. Not many civilizations, advanced civilizations at least, that have like figured out how to coexist in a community with fire and smoke.
Sure. You know? Absolutely.
So,
yeah. It's like living on the sun.
Out. It is, yeah. Someone just told me yesterday in Tahoe, it's like living with heavenly and hell. I was like, I found that to be a pretty good pun.
Yeah, good reference. So before we get into the business end of things, I do have Mountain Gazette, Verb Cabin things I'd like to talk about. But since we're talking about you being in the West now, being from the East, do you have a preference? Or was it business? Or, I mean, you don't have to get too personal, but why go West if you're an East Coast guy? And I have a follow up to this, but this is kind of sets it up.
Well, yeah, I was hosting a radio show in Burlington, Vermont when I was working for Meathead Films and Ski to East. And Derek Taylor, legendary powder editor, maybe the most transformational powder editor in history. I feel like he was the one that saw powder for what it was, which was like this dirtbag Bible. That understood us, you know, understood what it was like to be a waiter in a ski town, work a night shift so that you could wake up early to get first tracks. And
totally,
you know, long story short, Tim, he hired me. He flew me, for my interview, for associate editor at Powder. He flew me out to San Diego. I rented a car for the first time in my life. I was only 23 years old.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, I was young. And so I went out, and I think he actually rented the car for me because it was too expensive for me to rent it, being under 20, 25 or whatever. And I drove out, got the job, and I moved to California, and I've been here for almost 13 years.
Very good. Now, you prefer it out there, or would you rather come back to the Adirondacks?
Well, that's funny. My wife and I are having those conversations now. We were just in Lake George earlier this summer. And,
nice.
And I love, I would say, like, there's no way my brain can ever forget what it's like to ski at Alpine Meadows. Alpine Meadows is like, for me, the be all end all ski resort that it's just my personal opinion. Professionally, I would say, you know, like every place I've ever skied has its value and is awesome. But,
absolutely.
Culturally speaking, I definitely miss the East Coast. I miss Vermont the most of all. And I would say that we are like very pleasantly happy in California, but also with an eye I would say both feet are firmly planted in California, but we're also looking back east to see. We have a 2.5-year-old son, and so, you know, we're trying to figure out what's best for him.
Yeah, no, totally. 100% understand that. I mean, I love the East. I love living in Vermont. I grew up here. I live here again. And the only place I lived in the West was Las Vegas, which is a little different than the Tahoe area, I assume. Never got up there while I was out there. But my follow-up to that is, one of the things I push is skiing, snowboarding, snow sports are for everyone. Everyone can do it. Doesn't matter who you are, how much money you make, whatever. Anybody can do it. But there are some stereotypes still kicking around that keep people from doing it. And one of those is the East and West Coast animosity, which I thought died with that era of hip hop in the mid 90s. but I still hear it's around. Now you're a pro. You're a pro. Do you still hear this stuff? Like, is it still out there? Like, it's kind of a goofy question, but I gotta know.
I think the misconception from like West Coasters looking east is that the terrain sucks, which is not true at all. It's very different.
Yeah.
And the irony is that these are the same people that are going to Japan and skiing East Coast style terrain in Japan with amazing
totally.
snow. And then I think from the East Coast looking west, I mean, my friends at, Jeff and Rooster from Ski the East are always teasing me, calling it Top Bro. I think they think there's this like bro-y vibe. But ironically, like, those cultures, if you have the means and ability to live in both places, it's pretty special. I mean, I did truly in March, I went with Jeff Thomas and Aaron Blunk and Ian Morrison back to the East Coast for Head Skis, and we made a short film about taking 2 West Coast pro skiers who had never been back east. And we did the Vermont 100. We did the Vermont 100 trail, and it was unbelievable. And what I sold them on it, like, Jeff has been back there a ton. He knows what he's up in Whistler, but he knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to the East Coast. But for Ian and Aaron, I was like, look, go back. Picture like you're going to a new country in Europe, right? And like you understand how societies work, but also like you don't know how their culture works. So go back and just be open-minded to what you're going to experience. And what was really cool was, sure, we got every type of snow that you can get. New types of snow they'd ever skied, but more importantly, like,
sure,
they fell in love with the people. And I think that is something that the East Coast can hold really high. And a lot of people think it's like the grit and the diehardness, but like, people are genuinely nice back there. People are genuinely, and you know what? Also, they're genuinely honest. So
absolutely,
if you feel like an East Coaster's being mean to you, they're probably either trying to be your friend by talking shit. Oh, can we swear on this podcast? Okay.
Yeah, you could totally, whatever you want, dude. Okay. No, you're cool. Swear, shit, fuck, whatever you want to do, dude. Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Oh my God. I feel like it's the skit from I Think You Should Leave, but I won't drop those. But I think, look, like, the fact is, like, skiing at Alpine Meadows, in order to get that kind of vertical at Killington, you'd have to ski for 3 days. That we can get in like 3 hours. But that said, what's really fun is I skied with the Hammer at Big Sky one year. He was out there on his family vacation with his wife Cindy, and to be honest, the snow quality in Montana was not that great during that time.
Okay, sure.
Hammer being Hammer, a man from Killington, he likes long, flowy groomers and moguls, and we found plenty of that, and it was really cool to get like into his East Coast mindset at a West Coast, like one of the largest skiers in the world. And we had so much fun. We skied until 4:30. We actually like rode up and like purposely took our time coming down. And I feel like the ski patrol was right on our butts doing the sweep. And we had a blast, And then what was cool was when we finished, we weren't like on to the next activity as a lot of West Coasters do. Like, we sat there and we dissected our ski day. Over a plate of fries and nachos, and just like sitting there looking up at the mountain saying, Jesus, that was good. That was fun. Snow actually was surprisingly good. And then, I don't know. I think that the nuances of ski culture can be found on the East Coast. Sure. As far as like appreciating stuff.
Yeah, think, totally.
Like, the terrain, snow quality, like I've skied Alta Snow at J Peak. But Alta Snow is called Alta Snow. You know what I mean? Like, it is.
Totally. Yeah, it's kind of following all its own. You hear that back here. See, that's interesting that you say all that, because, I hear, people talk. And people have regional love, of course. PNW kids love PNW. Sierra kids love Sierra. New England, Midwest, Upper Peninsula, Michigan, whatever it is. But there are those who still ask me, who really aren't in it, who don't do it. They're like, is this really a thing? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's a misunderstanding. I think everybody kind of gets along, man. And you just hear that it's different from one side of the country to a whole other country. If you go to Europe or Asia or, Oceania, wherever you might be. So I think that's really kind of awesome. Especially, again, coming from someone who knows what they're talking about more than I do. That's even better. Like, that's great for me.
I don't know. Like, I think like a couple years ago, I was at was at the final level 1 premiere, the world premiere in Denver of their last film, their last annual ski film. And I met Keegan Gilbride, who's like a kid from the East Coast, and he had a great segment. And I don't know, like I felt a real kinship with him just from, he's a Sugarloaf guy. A lot of my friends are Sugarloaf guys, right? And so like,
yeah,
I think it's the same when I find like Jake Doan, who skis for Forefront. Like he grew up in the Adirondacks, and so like I would say I'm naturally biased towards like totally supporting his career. And we've been friends for a long time. He filmed with the Meatheads back when I was there. But like, like I'd say from like a media standpoint, like I certainly have the guys and gals from the East, Devin Logan's I'm a huge fan of her because she was winning Rails to Riches at Killington when I was going to school in Potsdam,
Okay.
So,
yeah, totally.
Tom Wallish, as famous as he is, he's still that kid from Pennsylvania that grew up skiing Wisp, so
yeah.
I think we're all proud of where we came from. But that shouldn't really overshadow like how far people have come, where they've come. And if you have an opportunity to ski in your backyard, you should do it. So
yeah, that's what I always say anyway. I mean, I totally agree with you. And a lot of people don't even think about Tom Wallish being from the East. A lot of people don't even realize that because, I mean, he's so good. Like, you don't even think about it. Just watch him and you're just blown away anyway. But a lot of people don't realize that stuff. And a lot of big names have come out if you follow the pro circuit or if you're just a traveler, man. Come out here, go out there, do whatever, as long as you enjoy it. Don't get into any of the bullshit because it just hurts all of us in the end. And again, that's just something I wanted your opinion on since you are out west. And I've never skied out west, and I know people from out west, but I've never skied it. Not to backtrack too much, though, you brought up the film where you guys were doing the Route 100. I didn't realize that was one of yours. I saw it. I saw the Route 100 sign in the opening graphic, and I was hooked. I was like, let's do it. I know the whole thing, which isn't true. I know most of it. What was that like? Just tooling through Vermont, like you were saying, you had a good time. The people were there. You have West Coasters, but for you being back in a place you've been, and just the filming alone, like just the overall experience, because that was a great film. I really enjoyed that. I loved it.
Thanks.
That's one of my favorites. What was that, last year, the year before?
Yeah, it was literally. I would say the day we got there was when the first case of COVID like hit like that nursing home in Seattle.
Okay.
And then by the time we left, we were having dinner with Steve Wright from J Peak. And the NBA shut down during dinner. And we were like, this is a thing now. And okay.
Yeah.
But I actually like, I love the idea of maybe even trying to remix that film into like the last normal road trip before the end of the world.
That would be awesome. Dude.
Apocalyptic thing. Like, I mean, talk about like having a parking lot party, hugging everyone that you don't know,
Yeah.
Things that sound so dangerous today, but we were just doing them back then. But
Totally.
that was an idea that one of my creative partners, Jeff Thomas, and Jeff is the guy behind Theory 3 Media back in the day. He made some incredible ski films. He and I have made a couple projects in Vermont. We're both huge fans of the state. We worked with the tourism board. He and I had pitched it to another ski brand. He works pretty exclusively with Head through Jeff, his company. And he pitched it to Head Skis. And the idea was like fish out of water. Let's take 2 West Coast skiers on this iconic highway in Vermont and hit as many skiers as we can. And what was really cool is I actually was hired as a photographer on that. I'm always trying to like increase my skill sets. Like, what can I get better at? And photography is something I wish I had any type of skills for when I was working at Powder. But I would just go with a pro photographer and we would write and shoot. So for Vermont 100, Jeff took a chance on me and hired me as a photographer for Head. And I was kind of like the unofficial tour guide. And I was just calling old friends. And I think weather-wise, we ended up like really well. Like we got kind of skunked at Jay, but Jay is the place to get skunked because of all their indoor stuff you can do. So, we still had a really good time and we still were able to get out on the hill. Killington was by far our best stop. I mean, we had a blast at Stowe.
Sure.
But I grew up on the other side of, Route 4, 149 in upstate. So doing, I mean, that's
Totally.
like your rite of passage when you can leave your state. You know, I mean, I used to do it illegally. Like I got my license 3 months after I turned 16 and was driving out of state. I mean, the first thing I wanted to do was I
Hmm.
turned 16 in October, and by January I was
Yep.
driving to Killington.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
See that he
Yeah.
put his ass on the line for it, man. As a teenager, they'll take your license for that stuff, man. But that's pretty good, and that says a lot for Killington.
Yeah, I can remember like convincing my parents, like pretty level-headed. I was never like one of those like brats that would like scream at his parents when I didn't get what I wanted. I would always try to like convince them, like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. And I remember convincing my parents the merits of being allowed to sleep in a car in a parking lot so that I could wake up the next morning and be at Killington early on Saturday.
Sure.
And you know, either they trusted me or like it was they just like didn't fully understand. Maybe they thought I was staying with a friend, or maybe I did say I was staying with a friend. Who knows? I would sleep in the parking lot in my car. To this day, my wife makes fun of me. If we get a family car, I actually lay. I'm 6'1". I lay down in the back of the car just to see if like it's a sleepable vehicle. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, you got to check it out fully, you know, to kick the tires and check the trunk length. That's awesome, man. And you never know, you might be able to get to do it again. That's fantastic. Heading out here. I love it here. Like I said, Killington's one of my favorite places too. It was one of the first places outside of Mount Snow that I ever went, Mount Snow Haystack, dating back to the American Skiing Company. That's where I worked for Mount Snow. So that's where I was. And, you know, just being a teenager, not having a lot of cash, it was, you know, I was always at Killington because our pass covered it. Yeah, you just had to pay for gas. So I love that place. And we took Route 100 to get there every time. Like there's like 20 different ways one could go if they so chose. But that's the way we took. And so that's for that film. That's when I saw the Route 100, obviously a Vermonter, and thinking back to those days when we were doing something similar. We didn't go all the way up to J and we weren't at Stowe or anything like this. But that film hooked me so hard. I loved it. And I think I told like a bunch of people about it. I was like, dude, you got to watch this one. All my local friends. I was like, you got to look at this one, dude, because it's our backyard. This is where we are. This is where we grew up. And I loved it. But then I love any film from Vermont. And speaking of which, one of your Verb Cabin pieces, Another Way, was that it? The Ian Compton film. Pardon my memory. It sucks. I find Ian Compton very interesting because of basically what that film was about, and I won't ruin it. I'll let you ruin it, but so you can talk about it and ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's quick too. It's a short. I find him interesting, and I think it was there was a level 1 short that was up at his house too. I can't remember if that's right or not, but he's an interesting guy, and the film is interesting. I'll let you talk about the film because you did it, so you know it better than I do.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I pitched a ski company this idea of going and finding professional skiers who had made hard pivots away from this, frankly, like pretty boutique life of being able to fly around the world with cameras, and like everyone wants to like watch you ski and make money at competitions and everything. Like guys that had pivoted really hard, or gals too, that pivot really hard out of that life into something else and had found another way. And that's where the title came from.
Awesome.
And with Ian, what I thought was interesting was when we were, again, he's another guy from the Meathead film days that I just got to know. And he's always been authentically himself. He's just, you know how it is too. I think like there's just people that are born with kind hearts, and that's just who they are. And he's certainly one of those people.
Totally.
So I found it interesting that he like publicly retired on newschoolers.com from skiing, which was like pretty interesting. And then a lot of guys were doing that at the time. And I was like, man, this is like, I mean, I might retire from ski writing one day. I mean, I don't write for other outlets. I only write for my own these days, but, I would never like retire from skiing. Like I would just ski, and I would really say, I'd be like, oh, I just don't write anymore. I'd like kind of fade into the background.
Sure.
But I found it interesting, and I was like, man, it sounds like he like kind of like fell out of love with skiing. And I was curious about that because, you know, part of growing up is recognizing like when relationships fail or like you try something, it doesn't work. It's not a total failure. You tried something, like there was still a moment in time. It can be valuable, lessons learned, whatever. So
Totally.
I pitched the idea. The ski film or the ski company that sponsored it actually was sold
Okay.
to another conglomerate, and so they
Oh,
actually
okay.
gave it to me. They gave me the film that I was going to make it for them. They were going to own
Yeah.
it. They're like, look, we're going in a different direction. Like, keep the money and you can just finish it. And
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
so it became this like funded film that I got to make however I wanted. Blake Kimmel and I went out and slept in Compton's like grandfather's cabin outside of Jay for a
Okay.
week.
Nice.
We used footage from Shane McFalls, and then
Mhm.
Jeff Thomas, who made the head film, like he actually finished it on the post production side,
Nice.
and then yeah, we put it out. It got a staff pick from Vimeo. It's the first film that
Mhm.
I've ever like written and directed on my own, where I knew exactly how I wanted it to be. I didn't have to ask a brand for permission. Can I make it this way or whatever? You know, a lot of these
Sure.
projects are collaborative, but every once in a while,
Mhm.
it's nice to own, like your podcast right now. Like
Yeah.
you're the be all end all of the podcast, and you get to make it
Yeah.
however you want, and
Totally.
that is a lot of freedom. I'd never had that with a film. And so it was pretty rewarding for me to put that out and have it win some awards, get to a lot of film festivals. The Vimeo staff pick is something that people covet in my industry when it comes to filmmaking. To win that on my first film felt really cool.
That's wicked.
Um,
All, man.
yeah, and I mean Blake Kimmel, the original co-founder of Verb Cabin, like he and I, like, we that was a passion project. We really cared about that, and we worked really hard. And Jeff came in like a year later and helped us edit it on the post production side, and just like really saw the vision I had for it, and it was great. I'd love to make more of them. I mean, it's one of those things I have in the back of my mind with Mountain Gazette as we grow. When we
Sure.
decide we're going to get into video marketing, I think that's going to be our video marketing platform. It's just like making heartfelt, ground level films about people. So
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome, especially if you could tell stories like Ian Compton's, man. Like I said, I find him to be an interesting guy because he's just obviously just an awesome guy, nice guy. His skiing is top notch. The boy makes it look effortless when he is out. I have to say he's one of the most effortless tricksters I've ever seen. Like he can hit a rail like he's walking. It's ridiculous. I don't know how he does it. And then for him to drop out and kind of, almost off grid it up there in Greensboro. I can't remember. I don't know the Northeast Kingdom that well. But what I do know about the Northeast Kingdom is that there's not much up there. Like that's rural up there. Nice area, Burke is up there and, your Jay is kind of, pushing the edge as you're heading west, but it's a nice area. And I just think that he's great that he's up there. I love the area. It's only an hour north from here where his town is right there. And, I love it. And I think it's great. And I thought that film was good too. I really enjoyed it. It really felt laid back because he always seems like a laid back guy. It felt like him, and you were talking to him. He actually showed some true emotion talking about the first person he met up there, dude. Like he was almost in tears on camera. Like it was beautifully made, and I really enjoyed it. And for a short, especially, like I like short films, but this one, it got to the end. It was like, oh, dude, that's it. Like, come on, like another 5 minutes, please. Like, that's it. It was interesting, and I really enjoyed that as well. So your films are top notch. The ones you work on, whether it's yours or you help out, obviously you got a touch there of some kind. And speaking of touch, let's just move on to Mountain Gazette. When did you re-debut it? Like, well, first, that's kind of a stupid thing to say. The history of the magazine, if you want to go over that real quick, or you could take, however you want to explain it, man, go for it.
Yeah, sure. So Mountain Gazette was started in 1966. It was originally founded as Skiers Gazette, so it was a ski magazine, and then they expanded their reach, editorial reach, to all of outdoor, just to
Sure.
It was the original outdoor magazine. It was really like eclectic. The writing and photography was like what was pushed forward. It was a monthly in Colorado,
Sure.
and it developed this reputation for just attracting real like literary heads, photo heads, like just people who couldn't get enough of the culture and wanted something a little different. I purchased the magazine at a bar in Denver, at Outdoor Retailer.
Wow.
It's in the bill of sale that it was a agreed upon price and a cold beer, and the cold beer was a Coors Banquet beer.
All
So I
right.
actually bought the previous owner, Blake is his name.
Yeah.
I bought him a cold beer as part of it. We signed the
That's
deal
awesome.
in the Philo booth at Outdoor Retailer. Dan from Philo is
Okay.
a good friend of mine. And then I actually like put it on the shelf for a little bit. I was like, I'll try to relaunch this in 2 years. Fast
Okay.
forward 3 months later, COVID. And
Yep.
I actually I prefer the way my wife tells this story now is that during the pandemic, people learned how to bake bread and like do shit they always wanted to do.
Sure.
I decided my COVID hobby would be to bring back a beloved dead magazine.
Yeah.
So
Totally. I mean, if you're gonna go for it, man.
we
That's
relaunched
awesome.
in July of 2020. We started selling subscriptions in August of 2020, so we're like a little over a year in now, and we're up to like 2,400 subscribers. We're fully like reader supported, and
Awesome.
then new kind of this year, we've always had like some friends at Armada and Eddie Bauer and Philo who've come in, and Alibi Brewing have come in and like just helped. We've got
Sure.
some in addition to a lot of those folks coming back, we have a lot of new ad partners in this next issue.
Awesome.
And what's cool is that as the magazine's growing in prestige and like subscribers, like the industry's taking notice. They're seeing it as an alternative to what else is out there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that even though I'm here in sunny Palm Springs where it's 110 degrees outside in the desert, like I am reading about Zen and snowboarding, and I'm reading
Yeah.
about the history of Crested Butte, and I'm thinking about what our next issue is, which comes out in October. And yeah, I mean, it's on my mind all the time. My dream is to actually make it the full-time job. I'd say right now it takes up like, it was like 20% of my work, and now it's taking up like 40 to 50, which is really
Yeah.
nice. And
Totally.
my hope is that eventually the lines are blurred, and like where Verb Cabin starts and ends, Mountain Gazette starts, like they're all just connected. And
Yeah.
we've got some new clothes coming out later this
Okay.
week, probably tomorrow. Actually, that's
Cool.
my to-do list today after the pod is to put that on the website. We've got some hoodies, and we've got a blanket, and we've got some
Sweet.
sweatshorts and a frisbee. We've got some new hats coming out in a couple of weeks. We've got a cool product collab with Mir, the water bottle company.
Okay.
Making some like cool, like, yeah, reusable coffee cups and all
Awesome.
that. So yeah, I would say that Mountain Gazette is the like manifestation of like my entire life's work. Like all like 15, 16 years I've been a journalist. I mean, I've been writing about skiing since I was 16,
Wow.
17 years old. Yeah. And so I'm
Holy
30, I'm going to be 36 this fall. And so we're coming up on it. Yeah.
Yeah, like wow, dude, like that's a great story. Number one, it's a great story because if there's a beer involved on and it's signed in, that's a ski bum story to be reckoned with. There's going to be a few. It's going to be hard to top that. But it's so great that it's your almost. I guess it could be accurate to say passion project, and it's coming to life, especially in the 21st century. And this is the question I had. Why take on a print magazine when a lot of people will say print is dead or on life support, as you said, with like Powder? A lot of magazines in the last 10 years have just died. And a lot of people blame the internet and other things, if you get into the business of it, but why take it on? Like, were you confident? I mean, you bought it, so you must have been.
Yeah. I was fully confident that it would work. I knew it would work. I think a lot of my inspiration for doing it comes from where I live now. There's this great line in the McConkey doc where, Shane's convincing people that, reverse camber will work, that fat skis will work. And he does so by going up to Alaska with MSP and Hank DeVray and like doing his McConkey turn down that face. And he's got that line. He's like, I knew it would work. And I think sometimes that's all it takes. It's just me looking at all of the landscape and saying, I've worked inside these beautiful organizations that make a great product and do a lot of extra shit. And I thought, what if you got rid of the extra shit and just gave the core product, which is the magazine? That's all we're really focused on at Mountain Gazette with our team. Is every issue has to be great, has to be really stand out, special, something you'd be willing to spend a decent amount of money on. And it costs, with shipping, like $70 a year, which is the same cost as a Vail Resorts cheeseburger. And so not too bad if you're into eating lunch at ski resorts. Like, it's about the same price, and it comes twice a year. It's I think it's become a statement piece. I've noticed, like, when people get it, they share it on social media.
Oh, totally, they do.
They like are really proud of having it in their house. They're proud of like showing it to their friends. I feel like we're at this stage where like we're this core cool group of folks from a totally crazy diverse background. Like, I cannot say a Mountain Gazette subscriber looks like this or that or whatever. Folks are everywhere, all over the world, all different types of folks, different ages. And what's cool is we're all connected by one thing, and that's walking out our front door makes us feel really good. You know, getting outside makes us feel good. We all love skiing. We all love snowboarding or climbing or just going for a hike, or like we had a bird watching story at our first issue that people were like blown away by. And
awesome.
I think why I wanted to do print is you talk about the Head Skis film or like the Another Way. The way the internet works is like things come out and they're forgotten about, if you're lucky, within minutes. You know,
absolutely.
Like if you last like 48 hours on the internet at the talking point, like that's like considered a real success.
Totally.
I wanted to put things out there that could last 6 months to a lifetime. And that was really important to me. And I felt like, you know, it's weird. Like, everyone I know that has a vinyl collection, Tim, has Spotify and Apple Music or Tidal or whatever, but they still have a vinyl collection. There's just something about holding something in your hands that makes you feel good. And I felt like people are craving a personal relationship. I can tell you right now, the next issue of the magazine, I'm making it for less than 3,000 people. I'm not making it to win the internet. I'm not making it to, I'm making it for the people who have given us their hard-earned money, and I only care what they think about it.
Absolutely.
And that's a really freeing feeling of not being like, let's go grab this infinite number of folks and eyeballs for like a couple seconds. Like, I don't know. People come, I said the strangest thing that I would love to like correct on your pod is like, people come up to me and they're like, I'm sorry, I haven't read the entire issue. That's okay. There's a lot of shit in there, man. It's long. It's like 60 to 70,000 words sometimes. I mean, it's meant to be consumed in the way you want to consume it. I know friends that like methodically read it over 2 weeks, one story a night. I know other people, like my mom tries to rip through it in 24 hours. And I'm like, why would you? I don't even do that. I can't even read all of the copy in that time. Our copy editor doesn't do that, you know? So I just wanted to make something for a community of people that I love and respect and am constantly curious about. So that's what I was after.
I like it, man. That's the way to go. I mean, even from just if you wanted to look at it from a simple business point, if you provide a service or product that you love, that you know about, that you make great or as close to great as you can get, you may be making it for less than 3,000 people, but more people are going to come on. I know that because people do love it, but at least it's going to be good. And that's really, I think in this day and age, outside of ski topics, my friends and I get into a lot about entertainment, and, we say, we're just not getting what we need, want, anything good anymore. It's all whatever. I feel that this, from what you said, you're doing exactly that. You're doing the good work, doing the work the way it should be done, following the rules, I guess you could say. And people love it. Every other day I always see Mountain Gazette photos up, and not from the Mountain Gazette, social media pages either. It's from everybody who reads it. A lot of followers, a lot of people love it. I actually have, you can't see it in this view, but I have Mountain Gazette, 41 framed and up here on my wall too. So, there you go. Like it's there. It's wonderful. Would you ever consider, this is kind of a silly question, but you talked about powder being on life support. If the opportunity came to do a second one, would you snatch it up?
Another title?
Yeah, like say someone said, all right, you know what? We're done with powder. We're out. Sell it, give it away, do whatever you want with it. Would you be like, hey, right here?
I tried to buy it.
Oh, you did? So there you go.
You want
I had no idea.
You want a story for your pod?
Absolutely. Go with it, man. Because like I
Cool.
said, that was just off the cuff out of my head. Like I had no idea this was a real thing.
So,
go for it.
When I was at the Ski Journal, we did a story on Jan Winter, who's the founder of Rolling Stone.
Okay.
And Jan has a section in there about how moving to Sun Valley and skiing saved his life.
Okay.
Like it was spiraling out of control. And I took that little paragraph or whatever and just started asking questions. I found out at one point he actually tried to buy powder.
Okay.
From Dave and Jake Moe back in the day, who founded powder. So the writer who wrote that piece on Jan, we did a profile at Ski Journal on Jan about like how the founder of Rolling Stone, skiing saved his life, which is a beautiful story, right? So I
love it.
I sent Kit, the writer, an email and said, I have a crazy idea when powder shut down. Like, what if we went to Jan? And Jan knows David Pecker, whose company, American Media, owns the asset Powder Magazine, owns it. And I said, what if we had Jan on our side and convinced him that he should give us Powder Magazine, 2 ski bums, one from Tahoe, one from Sun Valley, and that we will do our best to restore powder to its former glory.
Yeah.
And Jan thought that was an awesome idea.
That's totally awesome idea.
So I found a way to get in touch with the founder of Rolling Stone, who went to his friend that owned powder, and he said, I would like for you to consider giving this magazine to these 2 ski bums. Now that is a preposterous request. Will you give us the Bible? Will you give us the Bible of skiing? It felt like a biblical story in itself. It's like we're going in front of God.
Wicked.
Please just give it. And
that's
my
awesome.
plan was actually just it probably would have tanked. Probably would have tanked the Gazette because it was hard to say. Like I don't know. Like we cover skiing in there. Like we are different, but my thought was like we would do four times a year and try to turn it into this like public good. We get rid of gear, and just focus on POW skiing.
Yeah.
And just make it cool. And so David Pecker, to his credit, actually considered it. And then they came back with a price. And, Mountain Gazette's debt free. I paid off my investment within 3 months of being open. Like dude, we're debt free, 100% owned by Verb Cabin.
Sweet.
Profitable. We pay all of our contributors on time. And I thought I could recreate that with powder. And who knows, maybe one day it still could. But for now, Dave Reddick, the photo editor, is kind of keeping it on life support. He's doing a really great job with their Instagram. And he has, our columnist, former powder columnist, Hans Ludwig, the J local, writing these intros, and Dave's digitizing all the old magazines.
That's awesome.
Put them out there, preserve them.
Sure.
So maybe one day, but for now, I'm really happy making 2 issues a year of Mountain Gazette. And like the joke my wife and I always say is like, if Tahoe becomes a place we can't live forever because of wildfire, that we'll move to the coast somewhere. What's our coastal Gazette? Just
why not?
I mean, I don't know
why
the first
not?
thing about living on the coast. So.
Neither do I, but I mean, I live near the Jersey Shore. Does that count? I don't know. It's whatever. That's actually kind of awesome. Like I said, that was just off the cuff. I had no idea there was actually a story there. So that's really cool. Good.
I tried, and it was I will say it was not so much of a, like I said, it probably would have killed the Gazette, which would have been stupid to cut off one hand or whatever. The phrases, I didn't want to have 2 properties, and I'm certain, like I know for a fact that I probably could have found the investment money, but that's how these magazines get in trouble. Is they get into so much debt, and like these are supposed to be smaller businesses, right? Like they're not
Yeah,
supposed to be they're not supposed to be Facebook. They're not supposed to be Instagram. They're not supposed to be these massive like billion-dollar valuation companies.
totally.
I think they're supposed to be small, community oriented, and the focus should be using your media to grow the community, to bring more people in and make them feel welcome. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's perfect.
every human being has an innate desire to go outside. Those are
Yeah.
my customers. That's
Hmm.
it. And I want them to feel like they're a part of the community. Tim, you're a hardcore skier. Someone in North Carolina might ski 2-3 times a year at Boone, and they might
Yeah.
consider themselves a hardcore skier. Who am
Yeah.
I to make that judgment call on whether or not they belong? It's
That's
like you
it.
do belong. You love it. If you're
Yeah.
passionate about it, and then you're in.
Yeah.
And your skill level and where you go and how you do it becomes
That's it, man.
secondary. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And I 100% agree with that. Like I said at the beginning, for everyone, if you love it and you do it your way, do it. Groomer rider, fine. Tree rider, fine. Bumps, park 2 times a year, 1,000 times a year. Whatever it is, hit it, go for it. Just be part of that community. And you say, as you said, this magazine serves the community, which actually brings me to another question. Isn't a good, I think I misunderstood this, but a decent portion of Mountain Gazette is community submitted, no? Like readers submitted
Yeah.
or other people submitted, not necessarily all your office full of pros. Or if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I would love to write a feature for Mountain Gazette someday. It would be great. But
Totally.
I would rather just pay the community members and so our writers and photographers come from a lot of different places, a lot of different backgrounds. Almost all of them, I believe, are subscribers. And if they're not, once they see it, they come back and subscribe. And then what I look for is, are you a talented writer? Are you
Sure.
a talented photographer? I don't care who you shot for or who you've written for. It's certainly nice when we get, folks from the New York Times or the Paris Review or, wherever who write for us. That's pretty special. But at the same time, I actually think those folks are more afraid to write for Mountain Gazette than like the hardcore local who's got one good story, in her. And she's like, oh, I just want to nail this story for Mountain Gazette one time. But I always say the hardest part's done. You've worked hard your whole career to become like a great writer. Like you're a great writer. Now just come to Mountain Gazette and be a great writer and play. Be yourself.
That's awesome.
I'm a pretty light-handed editor. Our copy editor, Kim Stravers, is unreal. Like she will make sure you're not effing up the grammar and keeping
good.
it clean and tight, No,
I love
John,
that.
John, our art director, and Alexa, our director of photography, just ensure that like the photography is unreal and like it's presented correctly, it will print properly and look really good. So that's
Awesome.
it. I mean, we're just here to create a 132-page book every 6 months and put beautiful things in it.
That's awesome, man. That's incredible. And as I said, and as you said, people love it. And I feel like, especially since the COVID thing happened, like more people wanted to get outside to the point it was dangerous to go outside. And I think more people are starting to get it. I think more people are starting to love it. I think, whether it's skiing, hiking, which I do, biking. I don't know if you guys have a lot of mountain biker stuff going on, but that has a big community as well for mountain sport and outdoor, man. I think people are going to love it, and and as you said, people like to hold a physical piece. They want something real, not just their ebook reader or whatever it may be, which is why you're so successful in a day when some people will say print is dead. I hope it continues.
Dude, this is like an old tale in media. I mean, we're sitting here essentially doing a talk radio show.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It's just called a podcast, but it's still an audio medium. Like, I don't know. It's like
totally.
the same people that said like painting would be dead when the camera was invented, or that radio was dead because of television. Like these mediums, they're just mediums. It's really hard to kill a medium. It's super easy to kill a business, but most of that has to do with people and not and not so much like the act of like how you put your art into the world.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, music is still around and it's totally different from how it used to be. I think print just has to be different. And I think the idea is like niche print, which is what we're doing, is special. I mean, vinyl records, you're never going to have a vinyl record outsell like streaming, right? Like, so
Sure.
like, but you don't need to, you know,
No.
you can talk to any independent musician. If they sold 1,000 to 2,000 copies of a vinyl record, their album, they would lose it. It'd be amazing.
Totally.
I mean,
Totally.
what musician doesn't want an extra like $25,000 to $40,000 in their pocket? Like,
Absolutely.
that's insane. That's insane.
You're not
and
wrong.
if you can cover the costs, you know, like that's it. It's like for me, I was like 1,000 subscribers was our goal because that would cover the cost of making it, and then it was like, cool, I'm off the hook. So but we hit that. When Powder, Snowboarder, Bike all shut down, people who love print were looking for something else, and they came to us, which was cool.
Absolutely. That's absolutely perfect. I love it. You said it. It's not about the medium. It's about the business, and that's people, and people just getting crushed by whatever reason it has. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody or anybody did anything wrong necessarily. I'm just saying if you're a good business person or if you at least understand your medium, you can do well.
Also, I mean, the biggest company in the world, Apple, is like notoriously known for buying up like billboards, park benches, the back pages of like Life magazine, Time magazine, like will you name it. You know, I think that's pretty telling. Like everyone, all these like marketing directors from like small ski companies that are like, oh, print's dead. They think they're so smart. You know, it's like, okay, like if print's really dead, then why is Apple, which is the most successful business in the history of the world, why are they putting a large portion of their marketing dollars not on Instagram advertising, but onto print? You know, like you go into we were just in San Francisco last week avoiding the smoke, and lo and behold, right as you get off the highway in the Bay, there's an ad. There's like a shot on iPhone ads everywhere. In big, beautiful billboards. So it's like, it's a successful medium for some people. They see the value of people being exposed to that message in the same place every day. And
absolutely.
The fact is, our ad partners, I mean, most of our readers know who our ad partners are because we don't allow a bunch of them to come in. You know, we select who they are, and they have to be a good fit. You know, we're welcoming in Solomon and CMH heli skiing into this next issue. We're like pumped to have them on board. Yeah,
that sounds awesome. Totally.
Yeah, so we're happy to have them on board.
That's awesome. And you're not wrong. It's almost a case of follow the money. A lot of people say that. And if Apple's spending the money on print, it can't be dead. They would know, but they wouldn't do it if it was. People are still going to see their stuff. But speaking of dead businesses, which Mountain Gazette is not, I don't know if you talked about it in your magazine. I don't know if you've done any other project for it. One of the big things I see being talked about now, and I kind of would like a pro opinion on it, what's the season going to look like? Is it going to be half shut down like it was last year? Is it going to be different? Last year, I think, could be argued it was pretty successful anyway. Do you think we're going back into it? A lot of people are worried.
I'm not worried.
I'm not either.
I feel like ski resorts know how to operate. Snowboarding a relatively safe sports. They're outdoors. Most of us were already wearing masks before. I know,
I was.
You know, the mask I was wearing and made fun of when I got to Powder by my older colleagues. Like, I mean, they're all wearing those now skiing. So, you know, it turns out that like tall T wearing park skiers from the East Coast had it right 10 years ago, and skiing in masks is actually pretty cool. But man, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be just fine. Obviously, everything's weather dependent. I am always again, just knowing a lot of folks on the East Coast who work in the resort business. Like, that's a place where you just you take your punches, you get up, and you come back. And I think the West Coast and the rest of us kind of like learned that lesson from COVID.
Nice. Okay. Totally.
And
sure. I can see that.
I think what I'm most curious about, Tim, is actually, you know, skiing has a really bad retention rate. Folks who try skiing, typically more people don't come back than stay.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how many people like COVID skied and are now have like, there's more options out there right now.
Totally.
So I'm wondering how many folks will come back this winter. So
I hope it's a lot personally. Like, again, I'm like you. I'm not worried about it. It was fine. The season was successful. Places made money. There was, like, in our state here in Vermont, there was no COVID cases tied to any one mountain. So something had to have been done right. But you're right. There is a very low retention rate. Like, I've taken people skiing who have never done it again. Not once. And snowboarding, for that matter, never done it again. And it's for the usual reasons. Too cold, too wet. I got hurt. It's too early in the morning, whatever their reason is.
If you think about it, like, it kind of sucks as a sport if you think about it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's freezing cold. It's really hard. Plastic boots are super uncomfortable. I mean, there's certainly like the Salomon like S Pro. This is not an ad, but like the Salomon S Pro is like this boot you can just like put your foot in and go skiing. Like that's pretty interesting. I think that's cool. For me, that's like some of the technology that I'm most interested in is like really making the barrier of entry like a lot easier to overcome and being like, okay, your boots are comfortable and they're warm. That's like a huge thing where people don't want to ski.
Yeah.
So I think,
Excuse me.
I mean, I'm hopeful for a lot of things, but I can tell you right now, like with these wildfires raging in Tahoe, like south of Tahoe, like they're 4 miles. I heard this morning they're 4 miles from Sierra Tahoe, which is like a East Coast ski area plopped into the Tahoe region. I mean, if you put Sierra Tahoe on the east, it would be a beloved local ski hill, like
awesome
that people would celebrate. They'd love it. It would be. I mean, it's got like Magic Mountain vibes almost.
Awesome.
You know,
I like that.
And they're 4 miles from this fire, and the fire's heading in that direction. And we're just hopeful that they can avoid it, and that the
I hope so.
Firefighters can hold the line. And
I hope so too. It's getting ugly. Like, there's been so much fire this year. I mean, smoke was hovering over here, and we're nowhere near there. It's ridiculous, and I hope it ends. And again, I hope no one else gets hurt. I know people get hurt all the time because of it, but I hope no one else does, and it gets handled. But aside from that, you're right about the retention rate of skiing. You're right. It does kind of suck. I tell people all the time, I was like, you hear us bitch about, full parking lots on a weekend or a holiday, lift lines that might be snaking out wherever up the hill and all this other stuff. And I say though, but all in all, relatively speaking, it's not popular. Nobody likes to do it. And I've tried, of all the people I've had as coworkers and friends, I have 2 that still do it. All the people I've taken, I've taught a couple people, 2 will still do it out of so many. And it's like, just try it. You'll like it. And I think that happened this year with the COVID because we had nothing else better to do. So people just tried it. I hope they liked it, and I hope they stay in it. And I hope they didn't get hurt, because that seems to scare people off more than anything. But aside from the cost,
I think we do a really bad job as an industry showing the many different ways that you can enjoy skiing. So
I'd agree with that.
Here in Tahoe, like you can go to North Star and do a champagne toast, every single day, and like have artisan marshmallows you can roast at the bottom of the lift for your s'mores, and like you can have a fancy pants experience that's really quite nice. Or you can go to Homewood and like brown bag it and like ride the Madden lift until your heart desires, or you can go to Olympic Valley and ski, off KT22, which is where folks like Shane McConkey and Scott Schmidt and Cody Townsend and Lee Sogstead and Michelle Parker, like all those folks made their names like skiing there. You can go to Alpine where I ski, and you can kind of be like a little bit of a disappearing hippie into the woods. And like, you can go to Jackson where it's a huge proving ground. You can go to Alta where the best powder skiers in the world are. You can go to So I think like the idea is like, you can be a JP skier. You can be like me and be like 80% of skiing I did as a kid was at night at West Mountain. I was a night skier, like, and that was like who I was. Like I was a kid. And so I went after school, and I'd get maybe like an hour of sunlight, and then I would just ski under the lights forever with no like goggles on my head, just letting my eyes water.
Absolutely. No, totally. I agree with that. And I think to put it even more bluntly, you put it very nicely, but I'll put it bluntly. Like, it's the stereotypes that kill it. And I think the biggest one that kills it is that it's a rich person's game. I've talked to people who have said, and it is expensive. And if you're rich, you have money, it's easier, obviously, but that's anything. But I was like, no, it doesn't have to be that. It's not it's not the stereotype. Like there's so many different things and there's so many different ways. And I think actually, you know what? I think what's going to help that here in the US is the indoor places that are going closer to the bigger areas. Like big Snow American Dream, people are loving it, and you can see New York from there. I love that place.
When I was at Powder, I did a story in the UK, and indoor and then dry slope, like no snow ski resorts, are insane over there. But the dry slope thing close to London, like London to Freeze, that's amazing. Like people think of skiing in the way that most of us think of, like, say, like bowling. Of like, let's go to let's go bowling. Like some people become, the dude from Big Lebowski, and they're like all about it. I'm sure some people go on and like go to like the pro bowling league, whatever. But most people just go bowling a couple times a year with their friends because it's a fun thing to do when it's raining out on a Friday night. Drink some beer, throw some balls, hit some pins, have a good time. Skiing doesn't really like have that, but these indoor places are developing that where it's like, hey, there's a hurricane on its way. Like Henry's in New York. What are we going to do? Let's head over to Jersey and, go ski with Hallie O'Brien and like who's over there. That's her home resort now. And, and just like, and take a few laps and see if you like it in a very, very like controlled setting, which is really nice, climate controlled. Snow's always good. And then you just get to kind of see, like, is this for me? And I want to say, I'm fascinated by like Kelly Slater's wave pool. Like the idea of like, you can bring surfing to like the Midwest. Like, you bring surfing to like Kentucky.
Yeah.
Because like, we don't know if there are good surfers in Kentucky because Kentuckians don't really surf.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. Skiing. Like, why not get, dude, Texas has some of the most huge number of skiers. They're everywhere in the West. Skiers come from Texas all the time. Let's build the biggest indoor ski center in Dallas or in Austin or wherever, and give Texans their home ski resort they can be proud of, and they can go and they can try out new gear. I think that's a huge thing for folks that travel to ski primarily is like, how do you try out the new skis from whomever, like throwing demo days there would be huge.
It'd be awesome.
I love it. I think indoor skiers are the future. They're super cool.
I agree.
And it's really easy to like. You can put renewable energy on them. To be, and if they do it right, they're actually contributing to the grid versus taking away from it. So now you got like this essentially like indoor play center that's generating power. For a local community. You're like, that's the sickest thing ever. So hopefully it's not the only future that skiing has, but it's definitely one of them for sure. Yeah,
no, I definitely don't want it to be the only one, but it's so brilliant that these places like Big Snow, for those who don't know, is in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Literally when you're in the parking garage, you're looking at the stadium that the Jets and the Giants play in. You're looking at it. And from the other side of the mall, you can see New York City, one of our biggest cities. One of the things that I think scares people off from skiing, snowboarding, mountain sports is that you have to, generally go to the mountains to do it. And that's not always easy to travel. To drive from where I live to New York City takes like 4 or 5 hours. So I get it. But now you've put it right in their backyard, New York City's backyard, East Rutherford, New Jersey, very urban area, big. It's right near Newark. It's not far. But not that New Jersey's big anyway. You could live on the shore and be there in an hour. I think that it will finally get a lot more eyes on it. And like you said, doing it, you don't have to have the equipment. It's right there. Have demo days, put these things in the biggest city. 555 wanted to build one in Miami. What a great place to build one, I think. I've said, and everybody who knows me knows I love Las Vegas. There's definitely one going in there. You could either go up to Lee Canyon, have a good, a day up in the high elevations, or you could go to a place that has slot machines in the lobby, dude. Like that would be the coolest thing ever, I think. But I think it is going to help bring eyes. Yeah, I think it's great.
Lee Canyon's like such a sick ski area. I've been there before. I wrote a feature for Bomb Snow. I brought
Nice.
my best friend. I was the officiant of his wedding, so therefore I was like kind of the best. They didn't have a best man or maid of honor, but I planned his bachelor party and got Las Vegas ski and snowboard, which is what it was called at the time.
Yep.
To pay for us to all fly out, stay in hotels in Old Vegas, and take a bus daily to the ski hill.
That is sick.
That's
wicked sick.
It was a like dystopian, crazy bachelor party that it was meant for a young, but it was a good time back then for sure.
That's great. That is fantastic. I tell people who don't, I didn't get to ski Lee Canyon. I didn't get to do any skiing when I lived in Las Vegas. I was there for a year and a half, and I really kick myself in the ass all the time for not getting myself to do it. But those places are so high anyway. Lee Canyon's base is at 8,400. It's like, oh my God, it's very high. If you get altitude sickness, be mindful. I get it, so I'm mindful. But it's a small place. It's a cool place. I have driven up there. I didn't get to ski it, but I did drive up there. I was just exploring Mount Charleston, the backside of Lee Canyon, all that other stuff. It's very cool. And I tell people Las Vegas could be a ski destination because it has a main airport and great places within 3 to 4 hours. If you go anywhere else, you're driving 3 to 4 hours anyway. You might as well take in a Cirque du Soleil show or something at the same time. It's a great place. And I've told people from Las Vegas, my friends there, I was like, if you want to learn how to do this, dude, you don't have to go all the way out to Bryan Head. You don't have to go all the way up to Salt Lake City. You don't have to do any of that. 45 minutes up the road, man. You're good. You're good. So I think it's great that you went there and did the whole Vegas experience and got the skis in. That's great. That's fantastic. It proves my point. Damn it.
Well, that's what I'm here for, Tim.
I love you, man. I love you. That was awesome, dude. You have so many stories, dude. I think if I could probably keep you on for days because you have great stories and you obviously been around. You obviously know it. You're definitely a journalist, something I aspired to be when I was younger. And I've only recently tried my hand at, even though I had taken classes, I had written before, I had teachers saying, oh, you write so well, all this other stuff. Not that I'm trying to blow up my own spot. What do I know? But, I think it's great. I thank you for coming on, dude. You have a ton of stories. Any last minute plugs? Anything else you want to get into before we go? Anything other people won't talk about? I'm not afraid.
Well, no, I mean, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Like, I love this pod. I think it's awesome if I listen to it. So
really,
yeah, I appreciate it. And I think that,
thank you.
Independent ski media is super important. I'm like a child of independent ski media, whether it was newschoolers.com, which was created by 3 ski bums in a closet in Montreal.
Yeah, man.
Or Ski to East started at a dorm in UVM.
Mm-hmm.
Powder started on the 4th or 5th chair on the Warm Springs lift in Sun Valley by 2 brothers. Starting media because you love something is a really cool way to do that. And hell, even when I was at Vice for a little bit, like they loved what they loved. I think that's the that's the future. And I mean, man, I'm so pumped that you had me on. And if people want, they can subscribe to Mountain Gazette. It's mountaingazette.com/subscribe. Or if you subscribe now, our next issue comes out in October. So you'll get the next issue. It's chock full of skiing and snowboarding. We're going back to my roots of just like promoting skiing in this one. It's going to be really good. And we're working on it right now. So yeah,
that's awesome.
It's happening. Thanks for having me on, Tim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. This was fun, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, dude, I could sit like all day just listening to stories, dude, all day. I love a good story. I love a bad story. I won't even lie. But thank you for that, sir. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself and your family out there out west. I hope winter comes and the snow falls and puts all that shit out there. And you have a good winter, man. You're definitely getting out. You're going to be anywhere in particular you want people to know about? So they can say hi on the slope or from the lift, yell down at you or something.
Yeah, well, I hope I'll be skiing at Alpine Meadows, and if you can find me there, I'll definitely say hello to you. I'm 6'1". I'm not too hard to find. So
totally. Yeah. There you go. And I'm the same way. If you see me, say hi. I'm easy to find. I'm always in bright colors. Orange is my favorite color. I'm that guy. Thank you again, Mike. I really do appreciate it. And we'll check in with you later in the season, probably. What do you say?
Sounds good. Sounds good to me, man. I'll come back anytime. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, bud. And there you have it, everybody. Thank you again to Mike Rogge for doing this. That was really awesome. As you can see, I was digging it. If you were watching the video version, you saw when he said he's listened to episodes of my podcast, I was like, dude, I was like floored. That's so awesome. So thank you again to Mike for going ahead and being on the show and talking industry stuff. And we'll probably check in with him again later. And also a shout out to he and his family. They're out there, like we said during the episode, running from wildfires. So be safe, Mike. Thank you for coming on once again. Check him out. You can find him on social media. Type in Mike Rogge. You'll find him immediately, because I think his Twitter and his Instagram are two different things. I can't remember what they are offhand. I should have wrote it down, but you know me. Absent-minded as ever. But links to everything he is will be in the description, both audio and video versions. Check that out. Again, if you're in the audio version, you're listening to the car, don't check out the description for the links while you're driving. Wait till you stop. So you can find that and follow Mike on social media, as well as Mountain Gazette, which you see right now if you're watching the video version, scrolling across the bottom, mountaingazette.com. Check that out. An audio version people, also mountaingazette.com. You heard it from me. You can see it in the description. Links to everything will be there, including Ski Rex media stuff, merch, Patreon, social medias, blog posts, everything. I'm going to get back into writing here soon, as I said at the intro. Check all that out as well. I appreciate it. I thank you. Thank you again for joining me. Next week on the podcast, it should be another episode. Well, you know what? It may or may not be, because I might have to slip an extra one in, do a double for 2 weeks. I may have messed up on scheduling. So the Dan Egan episode is either going to be next week. We talk to the professional and pioneer of the extreme skiing world, Dan Egan, about his book, 30 Years in a White Haze, either next week on the program, or it has already gone by. In that case, I hope you enjoy it. But I'll do better with scheduling as we go throughout the season. I'll do better with having notes for the episodes as we go throughout the season. And I'm going to hope that we all have a great season. Enjoy your day, week, month, and the ski season. I'll see you out there. Have a good one. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending on when you're listening to this. I'll check you later. I'll see you out there. Bye.